Nick Ashew here with the DMV.
Has concluded.
The DMVSTREAM.COM.
Sean Parker along with Nick Iverson.
I always wanted to play volleyball in college.
Cordova trying to dig it out of the board. And they score! Sports, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship PrepZone. I am your captain, Sean Parker, along with my first officer, the man, the myth, the legend that is Nick Iverson.
That was
You like that?
hell of an introduction. I'm impressed.
Oh, you know, we like to mix it up and have some fun here at the PrepZone. We have got a good show for you, as always. We've got lacrosse highlights. We've got Virginia soccer playoff preview, a couple of feature interviews from the guys from Rebel Run Sports. I'm telling you, we've got some good stuff here. And as always, you can catch the PrepZone on DMVSTREAM.COM and Fairfax Public Access Channel 10. We're going to jump into the weekly recap, but first, let's take a look at DMVStreams.com's new partnership with the Lacrosse Sports Network, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week network for the sport of lacrosse.
What's up, lacrosse fans? I'm excited to announce our new partnership with LacSportsNetwork.com, a 24-hour digital media network dedicated to covering the game of lacrosse, delivering thousands of hours of original programming, including live professional, collegiate, and amateur games. Now, those of you that already know about Synthesis Multimedia Productions and our platform at DMVStream.com, you know that our group has become the Mid-Atlantic's dominant force in providing live streaming of pro, college, and local high school sports. Now, in this new partnership with LacSportsNetwork.com, we'll be bringing you, the viewers, unprecedented live coverage of the Mid-Atlantic's most notable high school lacrosse programs, with matchups that include teams like Gonzaga, Georgetown Prep, Landon, Loyola Blakefield, McDonough, Boys Latin, Hill Academy, St. Paul's School, Culver, New Canaan, St. Stephen's St. Agnes, Collegiate School, and the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference Championship live from the University of Maryland. Now, in this series of 10 games, starting in early March, you can watch the best matchups live in HD with the state-of-the-art broadcast technology you've come to expect from us at Synthesis Multimedia Productions and DMVStream.com. Broadcasts will include a minimum of 5 HD camera angles, graphics, instant replay, live clock, live scoring, up-to-the-minute stats, and a 15-person crew, including directors, producers, camera operators, play-by-play color, and sideline reporters, all dedicated to creating a television-style broadcast experience that you can watch live right in the palm of your hand. To find out more about this project, go to LacSportsNetwork.com and start watching lacrosse right now.
Welcome back to the PrepZone here on DMVStream.com. First up, we've got the weekly recap, and Nick, we've got some Virginia soccer, or should I say football, maybe? The Conference 7 Championship, Lake Braddock and TC Williams.
That's right. You had the two best teams going head-to-head in the Conference 7 final. This was a juicy matchup that a lot of people in the area were waiting for. The two teams, TC Williams and Lake Braddock, in peak form going in. You had TC Williams coming off 13 straight wins, Lake Braddock coming off 8 straight, TC 13 goals in their previous 3 games, Lake Braddock 14 goals in their previous 3, so both teams were absolutely on fire going in. And this is a game that featured a little comeback. Lake Braddock twice had a 2-goal lead, but TC Williams took them to overtime. Started off at halftime, it was 2-0 thanks to goals from Nico Kwashi and Ahmed Abdallah. And Nico Ortiz de Zarate made it 3-1 in the second half. But
what was that name again?
I'm only gonna say it once, Sean, because I breezed through that. I just had to kind of get it out of the way there. The Nicos they have some interesting names: Nico Kwashi and Nico Ortiz de Zarate. But anyway, as you can see, Nico Kwashi was the player of the game here. He ended up scoring the winner after TC tied it at 3-3 off goals from Kevin Nunez, a PK of his, and Ruben Bassem-Pem made it 3-3, went into overtime, and Nico Kwashi scored the winner in the second 5-minute overtime period. So really valiant effort by TC Williams. They actually dictated the pace, controlled most of this game, were probably a little bit better all around, but Lake Braddock is so dangerous on the counter, and they have some guys up top, and Nico Kwashi has track speed. He's a complete sprinter, even though he's not a track star technically. He certainly could be. 6'4", has wheels like none other in the region, and alongside him is Dondre Robinson and Danny Cabrera. So they've got a ton of speed going forward, and their counterattack is excellent. They can also possess the ball a little bit when they feel like it. So Lake Braddock was able to strike last and ended up getting the 4-3 win. And last night they beat Robinson, their rival, 4-0 to advance to the second round of the region tournament, while TC Williams fell to Westfield in overtime. That's the upset of the playoffs. So TC Williams, unfortunately, a wonderful season, cut short, a little bit premature, but hats off to them for a really good year. So we'll see what happens in the second round of the regions.
All right, well, congratulations to Lake Braddock on their Conference 7 championship, and best of luck to them in the regionals. We are going to step away briefly. We're going to come back with the weekly fast forward, but first, let's take a look at some of the highlights of DMVSTREAM.COM's partnership with U.S. Lacrosse.
Okay, guys, so that's clear to watch number 1. We need number 3, blue. Kelsey for another 20 or so. Ready? Roll it. Ready, come back out to 2. Our third player to watch for the blue team today, it's number 5, Tyler Duff. Big rookie guy.
Welcome back to the Prep Zone. Okay, Nick, let's preview some action here in our weekly fast forward.
All right.
Regional quarterfinal, Washington Lee, Oakton. Soccer again, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
It's soccer season.
Keep the soccer rolling. This is a matchup that we've been waiting for all year. Most people thought that these two teams would go head-to-head in the championship or semifinal, so it's a little bit premature to see my number 1 team and my number 2 team in my rankings for the last several weeks going up against each other in the second round of this regional tournament thanks to a conference championship loss by Washington Lee. This is going to be at Oakton, which is a little bit favorable for them. Washington Lee really seems to play better on their home field, which is considerably wider than most soccer fields in the area. So they're probably a little disappointed to be hitting the road for this one, but this should be an interesting game because it's sort of a situation of balance versus star power. Oakton is very deep, got a lot of very good players, not necessarily one who is a superstar, whereas Washington Lee has 2 who really stand out and bag a ton of goals and therefore get a ton of attention. You've got National Player of the Year, Lucas Mendez, and you've got alongside him Michael Nunez up top for Washington Lee. They've combined for 39 goals this year. To compare that, Oakton has 37 goals total as a team. So you just kind of get an idea of the way these two teams trend. But Oakton's defense is definitely superior to Washington Lee's. Washington Lee has a bit of a suspect backline, so it should be interesting to see how Oakton can exploit that. And it'll be interesting to see how Washington Lee approaches this game, because do they take a page out of Mount Vernon's book? Mount Vernon had Oakton on the ropes, you could say. I mean, they were up 1-0 pretty deep into the second half, although Oakton apparently was never worried. Coach Todd Spatolini told his guys at halftime, down 1-0, and facing the biggest upset of the tournament, he told his guys, we're going to win 3-1, no question about it. Oakton was dominating. It seemed like a matter of time before they were going to get their goals. And sure enough, they did. They won 3-1, so coach is prescient there. But Mount Vernon was able to stay in it by sort of compressing the field. They they played high. Their back line forced Oakton into some offside traps, but more importantly, they sort of drew it down to a 25, 30-yard area and sort of made Oakton sort of compress that field and disallowed them that possession that Oakton thrives on. So is Washington Lee going to do the same thing, or are they going to open it up a little bit more? I would tend to think they open it up because that just sort of fits into their style. They've got a lot of guys. They want to get Lucas and Michael in the middle of the park controlling the field, and they want to open some space for them, which favors them, but not so much against Oakton because that sort of falls into their hands as well. Oakton is a team that likes to bang the ball around and create spaces for a lot of their guys. So it's definitely going to be intriguing on a lot of levels tactically, but also it's just going to come down to, you can almost throw tactics out the window when two such excellent teams go at it like this with the stakes high. It's going to be about who wants it more, who has the wherewithal. We thought Oakton might not have that fortitude, that wherewithal, because they're such a young team this year, but they proved that they did, and that 3-1 comeback win against Mount Vernon, they never panicked, and that bodes well for them. So we should see two teams that are two of the best teams in the area going at it tomorrow night. It should be exciting.
Who do we think's going to the semifinals?
You put me on the spot. I'm not going to make a prediction just because I'm covering the game, so I'll save that. I don't think I'm quite allowed to do that, but it should be interesting to see that Oakton defense, which has only allowed, they've only had one game this year where they've given up more than one goal, and it was a 3-2 win against Herndon much earlier in the year. So that Oakton defense, led by Mike Cudi-Pietro, Mike Cudi, is so strong back there, and they've very rarely folded. So, you know, Washington Lee hasn't faced that many really good defenses. I saw them play against Langley. They got pushed around a little bit off the ball earlier this season, and Oakton's an even better defense. So we'll see how they handle it. It should be interesting on both sides of the field.
Nick Eilerson, man of integrity, not making the prediction, but that's okay. He is covering the game. He is a journalist.
Hey.
So he is going to be right down the middle.
Gotta stay
All right.
professional.
Thank you for that, Nick. We're going to take a look. Earlier, Nick sat down with George Mason High School standout Grant Goodwin. Let's take a look.
All right, and welcome back to the Prep Zone. We've got a special guest with us today from George Mason High School. He is a defensive central midfielder, a 4-year starter, 2-time All-State selection, 2-year captain for a George Mason team that's 16-1 this year and has won 60 of its last 61 games. Welcome to the show, Grant.
All right, thanks for having me.
Grant Goodwin here with us today. And yeah, Grant, you've got a chance this year to become the first male soccer player in Virginia High School League history to win 4 state championships. You've been on varsity since your freshman year. I think the only player on this team who's done so and been a starter the whole time. Just looking back on this run that George Mason has had, winning so many games, what would you say has been the most key ingredient to your success, the consistency of this team?
It's really just the environment that the coaches create. It's really one that kind of breeds passion for the game. I mean, you go off the field and you still hear the guys kind of talking about it in school, talking about strategy constantly. I mean, during the season, everybody on the team that's their sole focus. That's what they love to do. It's like they wouldn't rather be anywhere else. So it's like.
Right. Have you seen a lot of changes in the mentality of the team from your freshman year to senior year? I know there's been a lot of seniors that have grown together as a team, but I mean, has the mentality strengthened even further as the years have gone on, or has it been pretty much a consistent train rolling down the track?
I mean, it's kind of, we have higher expectations now, you know, going in 3 times in a row for state champions, and then, but otherwise, no, it's just the coaches emphasize, you know, you go in hard, you pay 100% every game, no matter the opponent, and it's, but the style of play has definitely changed. I mean, that's one thing that's, new players bring a completely different style.
Right, and we're looking at some nice highlights here that your coach put together. Obviously, the towering center mid here, he's 6'4". Grant towers over a lot of people on the soccer field, but we're seeing you score some goals here. It's not something that a lot of defensive central midfielders do consistently. Is that a unique part of your game, your ability to get forward and actually attack goal?
It's kind of the way we set it up. Freshman year, I scored, I think, maybe 4 goals. That's because I was kind of the defensive component there. And now ever since then, I'm beginning to get more responsibility and kind of more latitude up and down the field because I have Nico, the other center defensive mid, and he usually just stays back and covers. So I kind of have the freedom to get forward and score now.
How scared do your opponents get on corner kicks when you come into the box?
I mean, there's some pretty massive guys. There's guys that are taller than me out there, like on Clark. There's some 6'5", 6'6" guys.
But big out in the country.
Yeah, but you know, heading's been a strength of mine in the corner, so I just attack the ball. You know, we all go for it. I think Elliot's the best header we have on the team. That guy, yeah, if you see him, he's a monster out there.
Not too surprised. He's got like over 100.
Yeah, that guy.
You guys, speaking of tons of goals and over 100 goals. The big stat here that really is just shocking is that this season George Mason has outscored its opponents 109-3. How do you stay motivated when you're playing so many teams that just frankly are inferior to you guys in the 2A? You're winning a lot of these games 10, 11, nothing. What gets you guys up for these games? How are you able to keep staying the course?
It's the want to improve every single game. I mean, we go out there and we'll still win 4-0, and after the coach will ream us out because we're not playing like up to our full potential. So it's not that we're playing for a score as much. We're playing to meet our expectations, our potential, and try to get better as a team.
Okay. And one stumbling block this season. You guys, here it comes. You guys lost the game. George Mason lost a game last week 1-0 to William Monroe. I can tell it stings still, but just that was your first loss in over 2 years. What did that loss do for you guys? What was the reaction of the team afterwards?
I mean, it was brutal for me after the game. I mean, you work so hard over the course of 2 years, you know, and you give it all, and you know you're the best, you're the better team out there, and you still come out with a losing record. It sucks. But our coaches after the game, you know, they said it wasn't our day. And I mean, frankly, we had chances, we didn't finish it, and it's our bad, you know, we have to move on.
On the other side of it though, do you think it might be sort of a good thing for you guys to actually suffer some adversity for once? Maybe it'll kind of reinvigorate you for the playoffs here, or how are you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kind of got the monkey off our backs of trying to keep that win streak going. Like everyone's like 50-game win streak. It's like fine, we're one now, game win streak, so we don't have that to worry about. And then I think if you saw the game against Strasbourg, we came out with kind of a fire I haven't seen us have all season, and I think it's kind of ignited a new kind of step in our game.
There you go. So what did the win streak get up to then? Was it like 60? I guess I just said it. You won 60 your previous 61.
Yeah, it was 60.
60, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go. Pretty incredible. And yeah, just your coach Frank Spinello called you one of the best leaders he's ever had on the soccer field. Just how have you changed your approach as a leader from your freshman season to now on varsity? Do you think it's changed over time, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to lead by example, even when I'm a freshman. I mean, we had some other freshmen, sophomores that I kind of, as midfield, I was starting over them, so you kind of get that, like, you go on the field, you try your best, and you try to show the other guys what it's about, and that approach hasn't really changed. But vocally on the field, you know, I'm trying to talk a lot more. I'm trying to think of more about my teammates instead of my own individual performance. So in those aspects, it's definitely changed over the years.
Right. You've got your Conference 35 championship tomorrow night. And then you got the Region 2A East tournament the next week. States after that, hopefully for you guys. Just, you know, how do you measure your approach differently from tournament to tournament? This conference one, you know, like we said earlier, you won handily in the semifinal game. So that might change a little bit as the competition gets harder, but just, you know, how do you alter your mentality depending on the tournament? I mean, is it something that you guys approach differently depending on regions versus conference?
I mean, any elimination game, you know, you're going out if you lose. So region, elimination game, conference, elimination, state elimination, all the same deal. Sure. You go out, it could end your season. I mean, someone's going home when you walk out there, and you know, we just don't want it to be us. So mentality doesn't change. We go out there, we fight, and we try not to be the ones going home.
Has there ever been a
Thanks, Nick, for that. And now we're going to take you to the guys from Rebel Run, who sat down with the head of USA Football, Jimmy Thomas.
Welcome to another very special edition of the Prep Zone on DMV Stream. I'm John Moore, joined as always with Rob Giampapa. We are from RebelRunSports.com. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Jimmy Thomas. from USA Football, manager of the national teams.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming, Jimmy. Let's get right to it. What is USA Football for people who don't know or people who have heard of it and just not sure exactly what it is?
Absolutely. USA Football is the national governing body of the sport. It's much like USA Basketball, USA Soccer. We manage and build national teams for American football, for international competition. We also educate coaches all over the country, high school and youth level. We've educated more coaches than anybody in the country to date.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned the national teams and that you play internationally. Where does the national team compete? Who do they compete against? When you mentioned internationally, what countries do they play?
Well, we have a number of different events, starting with the International Bowl, which compiles of high school athletes from all over the country. They come try out at one of our 27 regional development camps, which is the first step to making the U.S. national team. It's a 2-day, non-padded event built around individual position-specific drills, competition, 7-on-7, 1-on-1, that type of thing. Like I said, we have 27 nationwide, and athletes attempt to make the team. We move on to play at what we call the International Bowl, which is a series of games against Team Canada. We also compete in world championships with other members of IFAF, which is the International Federation of American Football. And every 2 years we play in world championship competitions for a gold medal.
Okay. Jimmy, talk about your job as manager, of the national teams. What goes into that? I know there's a lot of traveling involved. So.
Yeah. Well, over the years, I've worn a number of different hats. Right now, I'm actually going out and running the national team events, looking for these athletes to compete for our national team. I also hire a lot of the coaches, evaluate a lot of the players, secure facilities, so a number of different things. But most importantly, I travel the country and try to find what we call the top right player to represent their country with us on the football field.
Okay. And how do those players, you go and you scout them, what's the process for them to attend the regional development camps, the tryouts and things like that?
Sure. So the regional development camp is actually step one. Okay. So we have 8,000 plus athletes from all over the country that are trying to make the team. 27 markets, like I mentioned. Step two, we'll invite the athletes from that program and put them in full pads, and they'll participate in what we call the National Development Games. We have 6 of them nationwide, and that's a week-long training camp where we practice with high-level high school coaches, NCAA coaches, and prepare them, and that's step two to make, which is the final step in competing in the international games in Dallas, Texas. In AT&T Stadium is where we play our home games.
Wow.
So a small event.
Yeah, just right.
You hear a lot when we hear USA Soccer and USA Basketball and USA Hockey. They're such world sports.
Sure.
Talk about some of the other countries that are involved with international football.
They're actually playing surprisingly American-style football in over 70 countries now. When we have our World Championships, there's often qualifiers in continents like Europe. They're playing in 70 countries, like I said, 6 continents. So the International Federation of American Football, compiles, holds regional qualifiers and things like that, and sends teams to World Championships. So it's growing globally. USA Football has definitely tried to help that process by sending coaches abroad, try to educate coaches in other countries, and build it globally so we can get into the Olympics down the road.
And are we undefeated?
We are not.
No?
No, believe it or not. The Canadian teams really come down and bring some stiff competition. They have an U18 team that we haven't beaten in a couple years. We do win a majority of the games, but here and there, Canada will come with a pretty decent team and put it on us. Every once in a while.
Well, what other countries, obviously U.S. and Canada play football, but what other countries are getting better quickly in that?
Well, last summer we competed in the 2015 World Championships in Kuwait. So Germany, Kuwait, France, Japan.
Wow.
Kuwait brought a team, the United States, Canada. This summer we're going to Harbin, China in July, playing in the World Championships this year. China is going to be the host. They'll obviously have a team. Australia's coming, Japan, Canada, United States, and then in a European qualifier.
How's football viewed around the world in your experience? Is it soccer's king worldwide?
Yeah.
And basketball's huge. Where's football?
It's getting there. Different parts of the world it's more popular than others. Europe, it's very popular. We have men's teams for guys that have graduated college, didn't make it to the league, still want to participate and compete. We send men's teams over there because they have professional football leagues in Europe. And we compete, and sometimes they play in front of 30,000, 40,000 people over there. At the amateur level, we're still growing because it's important to grow the game from the grassroots level internationally, and that's the biggest challenge is getting those teams, teaching them the right way to play the game. So, like I said, eventually it's an Olympic sport.
Sure.
Well, USA Football has been a leader in teaching coaches the right way, tackling things like that. The whole concussion issue has come up a lot, but you all have been really on the forefront of teaching coaches how to develop and how to teach kids how to play football. Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So Heads Up Football is the name of the program, and to your point, USA Football has been sort of a leader in concussion awareness, heat and hydration, safety, that type of thing. And they have our 5-step tackle progression tackle model that we take all over the country. Every event that we do, we put every athlete through the Heads Up Football program because we think it's important to teach proper technique at the grassroots level. So the athletes grow up playing the game the right way, and move on to their high school, college careers with the proper technique. And at the end of the day, it makes it safer.
Okay. And do you have any events coming up locally for us here in the Northern Virginia
Absolutely.
area?
So we had an event here locally at Gallaudet University a few weeks ago in Washington, D.C., which was a great. We had a great turnout. We're coming up in July 4th and 5th. We're in Baltimore, Maryland at Towson University. If you need some information, go to usafootball.com. We'd love to have you guys come through. But it's also open to the public. Anybody that wants to come, put eyes on and see how the national team works, we'd love to have anybody come out and check it out.
Excellent. Well, that's perfect time. Now, let's take a look at DMV Stream's partnership with USA Football, and we'll be right back.
All right, so today we're at
Thanks everybody for watching the Prep Zone. If you would like to see this week's episode, you can go to DMVSTREAM.com. Hey everybody, Sean Parker here to unveil DMVSTREAM.com's Play of the Week, which goes to TC Williams' Philomena Fitzgerald, who scored the winning penalty kick for the Titans against the Chantilly Chargers. If you would like to see your play become the DMVSTREAM.com Play of the Week, be sure to tweet us at DMVStream.